Hello and welcome to Church at Home for this Palm Sunday of the Lord's Passion. We're thinking that's the technical name, and maybe some of our discussions tonight will unveil or unwrap what that title means and what Palm Sunday means for the coming celebration. So, Father Ed Estock,
Father Joshua Treffy,
and Father Michael Pitkosik.
Yeah. So we got together as usual, and we said, okay, what do we want to talk about? So we're not going to talk about the scriptures necessarily. We thought we would just give some reflections from our priestly perspective on what are we doing in Holy Week, and what's the invitation for Holy Week. And so Father Michael kind of kicked us off.
Well, in a way, Holy Week, I think, is an invitation to enter the journey, as we might say around here, right. Where we are really, in an interesting way, walking in the footsteps of Jesus, beginning with Palm Sunday and his triumphant entry into Jerusalem, and then progressing through the week, the Last Supper, his Passion, certainly, and crucifixion on Good Friday, his burial in the tomb, resulting in Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday, of course, ultimately the resurrection. But the week really gives us an almost sacramental kind of I think what word do we use? Participative remembering, where we are not only recalling what Jesus went through on Holy Week, but through very intentionally through the liturgies of Holy Week, going through similar motions and walking in his footsteps.
Right. And a couple of important things for us as Catholics are in that. So it's remembering, but it's not just like we human beings remember something, because remembering can just be in our heads, like we have memories. So it could be just an intellectual thing, and it's also not drama. It's not a play, because oftentimes what we're doing could look like we are performing a liturgical drama, play, but it is both of those things together. So it is somehow a sacramental and a personal, participative remembering, and that's what liturgy is.
This really comes not just from our Catholic faith; it stems from Jesus's Jewish faith. This participative remembering. In Greek, we call it anamnesis, if you really want to know. That's the word we use for the liturgies. This comes all the way back from how the Hebrew people celebrated, beginning with really their exodus out of Egypt. That the Lord tells them every year you're going to do this same thing in this same way to remind yourselves of where you were and where you're going. And so participating in that. In this way is something that comes to us from our Hebrew ancestry. And so we continue it, and it really lives in all of the sacraments. And all of those sacraments are somehow expressed throughout the week of Holy Week.
There are a couple of features we wanted to bring to your attention. And the first one is that although Palm Sunday is the beginning of Holy Week and the invitation to enter into the journey of Jesus, and so we see him entering into church, and we'll do that as we always do at Mass, but we'll do it with a certain amount of ceremony this Palm Sunday. But then the priests are going to journey, as we always do on Tuesday of Holy Week, to the cathedral. And as a community of priests, as well as with the other baptized people there, we gather with the bishop and we celebrate what they call the Chrism Mass. And why this is important, or what it's meaning for us, is that we celebrate our priestly calling. So there is an intense remembering of Jesus' commissioning, if you will, of his apostles, and so in the priesthood. And then the bishop blesses all the oils that are used for the sacraments throughout the year. And those sacraments, you'll know, are the oil of the infirmed, and the oil of the catechumens. Those are the people that are entering the church. And then there's the oil of chrism, and that oil is where the Mass gets its name, the Chrism Mass. But it is the oil that the church uses to ordain priests and bishops. It's what the church uses to baptize and confirm every Christian. And so it is the commissioning and the calling forth into mission oil in the name of Christ. So that happens on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about Thursday.
Yeah, so what's really cool about this is this year, here at St. Albert, for the first time we're going to receive the oils in a special ceremony at the beginning of Holy Thursday Mass, because we had installed this year an ambry, which is the glass and wood box by the baptistry that was installed, so you can check it out if you haven't paid attention to it, that holds the holy oils that are used in these sacraments. So we'll be receiving those on Holy Thursday as a community. So this journey that the priests are going to take downtown, we're going to journey back and pilgrimage back and bring this great gift back to the parish. And then so we'll receive those during the Holy Thursday liturgy. And then, this is the liturgy that really celebrates the Eucharist in such a profound way, the gift of the priesthood, the gift of the Eucharist to the community. And so we reenact and participate in the foot washing of the disciples by Jesus, and we participate in the Eucharistic celebration of the Last Supper with the Lord. So this gives us a chance to really reflect on and participate in the great gift that we receive of this transforming food for the journey that we have been celebrating now for over 2,000 years as a church.
Right. So this Mass of the Lord's Supper that Father Joshua has introduced is the beginning of this inside piece. It's kind of like those Russian dolls. What we get down to is the great Triduum. It's the 3 days. That's a Latin phrase for 3 days. So Lent really technically ends with the celebration of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday. And you'll notice that it's at night. So you know how the Jewish people mention the 3 days. They count days as the day begins with the night before. And so the great 3 days of our Christian celebration is really from Thursday night to Friday night, that's day 1. From Friday night to Saturday night, that's day 2. And Saturday night to Sunday morning is day 3. And so it's in these 3 celebrations that we celebrate the events of our salvation.
Right.
And so, as Father mentioned, I guess Holy Thursday would be best. So we were mentioning that, and it's one Mass, it's one liturgy.
One liturgy, yeah.
Right? So it begins on Holy Thursday with the Lord's Supper, and it's kind of like one liturgy, but it's pulled apart like that, so that, as Father mentioned, we can see all the sacraments in this. And of course we see the role of the Eucharist in all of it, and we can see what this participative remembering means. It could mean for us, and I think so. That's our invitation, is for you to, not forget and rather remember, and not just remember by sitting back on the couch and thinking about it, but to participate in these most significant rituals of Holy Week. I don't know, you want to say something maybe about Good Friday?
Right. So as has been mentioned throughout the Triduum, which would begin with the celebration of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday, it's one continuous liturgy. A part of the middle point of which would be the celebration of the Lord's Passion. So we come together on Good Friday to celebrate that. Good Friday, interestingly, is the one day of the year that no Mass is offered. There's no Mass written for Good Friday, so there's no consecration that takes place on that day. You can, of course, receive Holy Communion, but there's no consecration. one day of the year that there's no Mass. So we gather and we celebrate, we venerate the cross, the instrument, the tool, the means of our salvation at the Passion service on Good Friday when the Passion is again read. That leads us into, of course, Holy Saturday, and the high point of everything, the Easter Vigil celebration on Saturday night.
What's really another beautiful part of Good Friday, so we venerate the cross, but there's this very extended version of the intercessions, because we, the people of God, are journeying towards this great celebration, and in that we carry the intentions of the whole world in a very profound way. And so it's a way for us, again, to participate in that, in what Jesus did, in his salvation of the whole world. We carry his intentions and the intentions of all the people of the world through his passion on Good Friday to the celebration.
And although we do distribute Holy Communion on Good Friday, what we can see is between Holy Thursday and the celebration of Easter, what we are celebrating is the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And so they oftentimes call the cross is the altar. So St. Paul, so that the altar of the cross upon which the Lord was sacrificed. So, and that is the centerpiece of Mass. So, we're saying that, this is kind of like pulling the Mass apart. And so we see right in the middle, I was thinking, our crucifix, I'm not even sure it's supposed to be fastened to the wall up there, but the bottom line is, when you walk in our church, there's the crucifixion of Jesus right in the middle and the center and the backdrop of everything that we're doing. So this celebration of Good Friday is really kind of the celebration of and the symbol of our whole Catholic faith. I mean, we all wear crucifixes around our necks. And so this is a real reflection for us on how is it that we participate in the sacrificial death of God and God's ability to overcome that death and to bring us life and hope. So then we go to Holy Saturday, and that's the granddaddy of them all. The Mass, the Vigil, the great Vigil of Easter. You probably have heard about it.
Call it the mother of all liturgies.
Right. And so in that, we not only come to celebrate the Eucharist, but we come to celebrate the great initiation sacraments. And while the people, we have about 14 people or 13 people who are going to be welcomed into the church, initiated in the church at the Easter Vigil. But it's not just, remember, this is the participative remembering. And so as soon as we welcome these people in through the waters of baptism into the body of Christ, what do? Is we take some of that baptismal water and we recall our own baptism. And we are sprinkled with baptismal water. And so it's not just remembering, because most of us don't remember our baptism, but what it is, it's a participation in the act of dying and rising in baptism. So
and really the readings, there's a lot of readings during the Easter Vigil, do the same thing. They take us back to the beginning, Genesis, and they walk us through the history of the salvation of all of humanity. So there is, again, this remembering and participating in the history of our people from our Hebrew roots all the way to modern times.
Right. And Father Michael, maybe you can tell us something, because Father's been working with our RCIA candidates most closely. Can you tell us anything about what are the people in the RCIA thinking about these days?
I think they're very excited to finally receive all the sacraments. The unbaptized are very glad to, in 2 weeks here, to be baptized. Those who are baptized and have heard the call of Christ to come deeper into the faith of the church are excited for their confirmation and their Eucharist. So, it's been a tremendous privilege to be so close to their journey, because when it starts, almost a year out from this point, there are some hang-ups, some questions, some trepidation, some confusions, And throughout the year, that stuff starts to drop off. And, they come to you and say, hey, Father, I had this epiphany, or I had this great understanding where I don't struggle with this topic anymore, or I'm not confused about this thing anymore. And it's just so beautiful to see people's conversion throughout the year as Christ invites them deeper into the church. So they are very excited for everything on Holy Saturday.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And so all of this, of course, then we get on to Easter Sunday, which is actually the culmination of this big liturgy, and when most of us are celebrating the resurrection. But it's a great opportunity for us to remember who we are and where we are on the journey of life, and to where we're called. And so we see in the RCA candidates, there's another Father Michael said again, their journey. So they've been journeying through and to the waters of baptism. So we can all, and we had the great spirituality class this Lent, and I think we've all seen maybe and opened it up a little bit that our journey is never ending, and that's why we need to remember and we need to celebrate every year, so that we can maybe clarify, we can strengthen, we can realign, reorient ourselves on the journey. So maybe it's about confessing our sins. Maybe it is about change in our prayer life. Maybe it is about the mission that we are called to serve in the church. Maybe it's mercy and forgiveness we need to offer others in our lives. So there's a lot in this for all of us, and so it's the privilege of our lives to journey not only together, but to journey with all of you. And so we look forward to welcoming. If you've never participated in the Easter Vigil, I would say you should take the chance, do it now, and so this could be a great opportunity for something new in maybe what is getting to be an old story in your life. It's your Holy Week again. Well, maybe you need to zip it up a little bit, So, I don't know. Anybody else?
Just so many great opportunities to come to the church and pray and be together and walk in the footsteps of Jesus. I mean, it's truly the holiest time of the year. It's such a blessing that we're given by the church throughout this time. So,
Father Michael and myself, it's kind of like our first one.
Our first most normal Holy Week as priests.
So, so join us on this journey.
Right. God bless.
God bless.